I did this drawing in Tallulah after I got back from that hike where I walked down into the gorge. You have to walk down like, I don't know, maybe 300 steps. And then if you do the whole hike, you've got to walk back up like 500 steps. And it was so hard. And I really didn't think I'd be able to do it because I just generally don't exercise and I don't consider myself a fit person because I'm just not. Like, I don't work out. So I really didn't think that I would be able to do it as well as I did. So by the time I got back up out of the gorge and back to the van, like, I felt like I had really accomplished something. Like, I felt so good about myself. I felt so proud that my legs that my legs made it all the way up and out. And when I got back to the van, like, the weather was beautiful. I felt so alive. My body felt alive and awake, and I just had all of this, I don't know, all of this imagery and all of this color and excitement and passion all kind of built up in me, and I really needed to let it out. So this drawing was not difficult. This drawing did not take me very much time at all, and it just flowed and flowed, and I think it really speaks to the trip as a whole. You know, whether you're looking at this image and you're looking from the bottom and working your way up, you know, that idea of finding your way out of challenges or finding your way out of situations that you don't necessarily want to be in, or making changes to lift yourself up. Or if you're like looking at it from the top down and you're trying to dive deep into yourself or dive deep into your life and what you want and what you're looking for, you know, that search for whatever it is that you need or whatever it is that you want, whatever it may be. And quite honestly, like, this trip, I feel like, showed me proof of who I know myself to be and what I've actively been working on and conscious of to change. Like, I felt like I was given proof of myself to myself. And I feel like this image here kind of shows one of those moments of getting that proof. And I don't know, like, this is the only drawing that I did on the trip. And I love this drawing, but I feel like now I just need to sit and reflect and really think about, I don't know, like, just what the trip meant to me, you know, kind of go back and recall different moments on the different days and in the different places with all the different thoughts and feelings and, oh my God, my anxieties around where I was going to park and where I was going to go and what I was going to do and figuring out when and where to cook dinner and, you know, getting Xander situated and taking him on the hikes and walks around wherever it was that we were. Sitting in silence with myself. That, you know, I typically tend to spend a lot of time alone, and I love that time alone, but there's a major difference. I feel like there's a major difference between being by yourself, being alone with yourself, and being comfortable with that in a comfortable space. Like, to be home in my own room, on my own couch, in my own bed, you know, in a very familiar space, that is comfortable, that is safe, that is a good place to be. But to be by myself, yes, in a van that I built for myself, but ultimately in new environments every day, in new spaces every day, with, you know, brand new challenges, brand new sights, brand new feelings every day, that became a struggle, almost like an emotional struggle. I think by day 3 or 4, I was homesick and I was like ready to come back to this space of familiarity, because I just feel like there was a level of stress and like underlying fear of who knows what, that kind of just added this sense of like wanting to quit and wanting to return to a safe place. Not that the van wasn't safe, not that where I wasn't safe, but just like retreating back to something that was familiar. I felt like, you know, by I think it was day 4 or 5, I was like, I don't know about this. But I'm glad I pushed on, because if I hadn't have pushed on, I wouldn't have that many more stories to tell. I wouldn't be able to sit here and say, oh yeah, the van broke down after I parked in this beautiful park, you know, that's 100 feet from the beach, and we made it. You know, we boondocked that night and it was great, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences to wake up the next morning having boondocked 2 nights in a row, and then was able to figure out how to get the van back running by myself. Oh my God, that was just like, that was just such a good feeling to not need help. You know, all that I needed was there with me in the van and within me. And granted, like, it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like, the cables were loose on the battery, right? Like, all I had to do was shimmy the cables. I attempted to tighten it, but ultimately, like, they couldn't be tightened. But the thing is that, like, had that happened to me last year, you know, or maybe even on my very first van trip, I probably would have had a panic attack. I probably would have cried. I probably would have called for help and quit the rest of the trip, and never would have attempted trying to do something myself because I just wanted to be rescued. If it had been 6 months or a year or even 2 years prior, like, I would not have pushed through that experience, or this experience as a whole. I don't think I really would have been able to handle it, because I know how I was a year ago. I know how I was 2 years ago, and I wasn't this confident. I wasn't this motivated. I didn't have the passion and the confidence and the affirmation within myself and what I was doing to do this. Yeah, it's almost been 2 years that I've had the van, and yeah, it's almost been 2 years that I've been building it out and planning and talking about it. But, you know, 2 years ago when I bought the van and I was like, yes, I'm going to do this, woohoo, quote unquote van life, I wasn't in a mental place. I wasn't in a mature enough place. I didn't know myself well enough. I hadn't learned enough about the world, about myself in the world, about different relationships with people. I didn't know so many different things, and granted, there's still so much that I don't know, but I realize now that so much has changed in the last year, in the last 2 years, and that has allowed me to plan and go on this trip and execute what I wanted to do and solve problems for myself, by myself, and even talk through it with myself. You know, I was alone with my dog for 7 days straight in a capsule of a van, in a different state, in different cities, in the mountains and on the beach. And like all I really had was myself to comfort myself, was myself to affirm myself, was myself to tell myself to buckle down and get shit done and do what I need to do to be my best self in this environment and for the future, and you know, whatever it is that I needed to do. I just, looking back now on that week-long trip, it was 7 days. I feel like it was so short in comparison to what I know is to come. Because of course I'm gonna plan bigger and longer trips and farther out trips, but like right now it just feels like, in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of my life, it was such a short period of time, but it was crucial to my development just as an artist, as a person, as I don't know, just as a human being. Like, I did something for myself that I needed, and I'm proud of myself for that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing myself and hearing myself and what life is like a year from now. And I'm really looking forward to being able to continue to tell these stories and continue to share what I'm experiencing. Really, this is just my little form of therapy, talking to myself. Oh, talking to myself. But that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has their thing. I'm not much of a talker when it comes to talking to other people, but when it comes to talking to myself, I can do that pretty well. You know, and add that with making the artwork itself. I feel like the artwork itself just speaks better. The artwork speaks more clearly than I do. And that's what I appreciate about the art. That's what I need from the art. So it's my intention to just keep doing what I feel like doing, right? I'm literally just living my life. And that's the thing that I keep thinking about, is that I don't think I'm living van life. I use the tags to my advantage. I'll admit that. And yes, I have a van in my life. I'm using this van in my life. I'm helping my life through traveling in this van. You know what I'm saying? But like, ultimately, I'm here in my house, living my day-to-day life, going to work every day, working with my students every day, coming home, feeding the dog, sitting outside. I'm gardening now. I'm cooking dinner. I'm spending time with my partner. I'm spending time alone in my studio. I'm doing what I need to do to keep myself okay, to keep myself good, you know? And part of that is this van. Part of that is packing up, going grocery shopping for my little mini fridge in the van, you know, planning out easy meals, planning out where I want to go, where I want to stay, booking the campsites, looking on iOverlander and figuring out where I can park. Like, that brings a level of excitement, you know, to this everyday life that I live, that I really appreciate and I enjoy. And I think it's it's helping me level up. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just living this life day to day as best as possible, and I'm trying to treat myself with respect and treat myself with care and listen to myself and do the things that I want to do, because ultimately I only have this life and I don't want to waste it away. So all that to say is that, like, I went on this trip, right? And I went on a handful more trips, one night stays before then. And between now and the next month, 2 months, 6 months, I'm going to go on multiple more trips in many different places and see so many different things. But this here right now is just a reflection of how I'm feeling now in the moment, what I'm thinking now in the moment. And this is just for reference for my future self to continue doing what you're doing, girl. You know, you're doing the best for yourself. Some days you can't help but cry, and other days you feel so much joy that you wish you could just like dish it out to other people, but you're doing your best. You're doing your best. Continue doing what you want to do. Yeah. Yep. So this painting here is it's just a little, image of my memory of this trip. And I'm sure other bits and pieces of life have kind of trickled in and influenced the imagery, but ultimately this is just a reflection of that trip, going up and around Georgia, coming back home, the different places, the different feelings, the smell of the ocean in different places, the shadows of the trees, the street lights that like shined on the van. Every little thing counted. Every little thing matters to me anyways. But this painting is just a reflection of that, and a little token of appreciation for that little pocket of time. So yeah, I'm gonna let this be it. I think I've talked as much as I've wanted to. I think that for now I'm satisfied in this painting, satisfied in what I've had to say. Oh, I feel like I've said so much, but whatever. Yeah. I think that'll be it. So, anyways, if you've listened for this long, thank you. Thank you.